Govinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So, thank you very much, dear devotees, once again for kindly assembling here. We are continuing our series on Shri Upadeshamritam, and I'd once again like to thank each and every one of you who has assembled here. Today is Ekadashi, and we are discussing a very nice verse about Bhagawan's Naam, Bhagawan's Lila, and why we are not able to find any taste in it. Sri Rupa Goswami had specified the reason. Before we continue, dear devotees, I would once again like to give an invocation verse, offer an invocation verse to Srila Rupa Goswami. And this verse is as follows. Ratnakaradyena sudhalpakumbha avishkritah sustu mahan rameshah yastvatra piyusharasabdhikarta sa Srila Ruposti mameshra devah. The Supreme Lord Shri Dhanvantari, the husband of Lakshmi, who extracted a small jar of nectar from the large ocean, may certainly be great. However, that personality who ended up creating an entire ocean of nectar, that is Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, that personality named Srila Rupa Goswami is certainly my most worshipable deity. So, dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami is speaking the seventh instruction, and this instruction is in front of us. Syat Krishna Nam Charitari Sitapya Vidya Pittopatapta Rasanasya Naruchikanu Kintvadaradanudiram Khalu Saiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tadgadamula Hantri. The translation is as follows. How amazing! Even though Krishna's names, pastimes, etc. are certainly sweet like sugar candy, they do not appear tasteful to a tongue bittered by the jaundice of beginningless ignorance. However, if that same sugar candy is accepted every day with due respect, then it certainly becomes progressively tasteful and fully destroys that jaundice at its root. So this was the verse that we had begun last time. Today is session number 35. And I'm happy that we have completed 35 sessions till now. I hope that we'll be able to do justice to all the verses, and we have all the time in the world, dear devotees, for discussing the various aspects of these verses. Last time we paused at a place where it was specified that Krishna's Naam we are chanting for many years, but we are not getting the desired result sometimes. And what is the reason? The reason is that the medicine comes with two conditions. What are the two conditions? And the two conditions have been highlighted here. First is ādarāt, with due respect. Second is anudinam, every day. So the medicine of Krishna Naam, Krishna Lila has to be accepted every day, and importantly, ādarāt, with due respect. So this is the medicine which expects respect from the person who's accepting it. And because one of these two or both of these are lost, therefore there is a great delay in attaining the result. Dear devotees, these two conditions are therefore important. And once we understand these two conditions nicely, and we are able to ensure that these two conditions are intact in our Krishna Naam, in our Krishna Smaran, then we will fulfill the conditions given by Srila Rupa Goswami, and then the result will definitely be attained. So dear devotees, let us try to see these two conditions in detail. First and foremost, what is the meaning of ādarāt? So we are beginning our section of ādara, chanting and hearing and remembering Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes with due respect. What does it mean? We'll have to see. Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura, in his Bhajana Rahasya, says something similar. He says, Namete ādara kari, Krishna nama smara. He uses the term ādar. Namete ādara kari, offering ādar, respect to Krishna Naam. Remember it always. So this is from Bhajana Rahasya of Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura. This is from the first chapter, but every chapter he has called yama sadhana. So this is from his first yama sadhana, in simple words, from the first chapter of Bhajana Rahasya. Dear devotees, so we have to offer ādar to Krishna Naam, Krishna Lila, etc. And before we learn how to offer ādar, we have to first and foremost understand how not to offer anadar. Anadar is the exact opposite of ādar. If ādar means respect, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what does anadar mean?
Disrespect.
So before we learn about how to respect Krishna's Naam, we should first learn about how to avoid disrespect, how to avoid anadar. Because frankly speaking, we may offer a lot of respect superficially to a person, but if in our minds there is inherent anadar, inherent disrespect towards that person, then the person will come to know that I am not truly being respected. Therefore, first and foremost, let us try to understand what is anadar, what are the negatives that we have cultivated in our mind regarding Krishna Naam. And let us try to remove the negatives. Let us try to remove the anadar. So we have to understand what is the meaning of anadar. In Srila Rupa Goswami's Namastakama, in the second verse, it says, Tvam ādarāt manāgodiritam. Sri Rupa Goswami uses the term ādarāt. O Krishna Naam, even if you are uttered with anadar, disrespect. What is the meaning of anadar? Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary on this verse, says, Ādarāt sanketya parihasadinapi. Sanketya parihasadinapi. So he says, the term anadar or disrespect refers to uttering Krishna Naam indirectly to indicate someone else or to utter it jokingly, etc. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, Sanketyam parihasyam va stobham helanam eva va Vaikuntha nama grahanam asheshaga haram. That even if the Naam of Shri Krishna is chanted indirectly to indicate someone else, like Ajamil, when he chanted Krishna's Naam, he was not indicating Bhagavan. Who was Ajamil indicating, Dhameshwar Prabhu?
His son.
Yeah. So this is called Sanketya. Sanketya means chanting Bhagavan's Naam to indicate not Bhagavan, but somebody else. Then there is Parihas, to chant it jokingly. For example, Somebody may look at the Hare Krishnas and then make fun of them and say, hey, you Hare Krishnas. So that is making fun of, Hari Naam. So jokingly also somebody may utter it. Or Helanam, somebody may neglectfully utter it. So like that. So this is what we call namabhasa. The technical name for this is namabhasa. To utter Krishna's Naam, to indicate somebody else, or to utter it jokingly, or to utter it inattentively, this is namabhasa. So dear devotees, all of this falls in the category of namabhasa. We will come to namabhasa later, but first and foremost, I just want to specify this is namabhasa, and this is what Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says is another disrespect. So to chant Krishna's Naam with disrespect means to chant it in a namabhasa manner. So this is what is the first meaning. But there is something even more severe than namabhasa. And Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is more severe than namabhasa?
Nama Aparadha.
Naam Aparadha. So here we know for sure that namabhasa is another disrespect. But even greater disrespect is Naam Aparadha. Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha says, Aparadhastu sarve anadaratmaka eva. Tasmad aparadha nidanam atra anadara eva. He says, Aparadhastu sarve, all varieties of aparadhas, anadaratmaka eva, consist of another, disrespect. And the root cause of aparadhas is another, disrespect. So dear devotees, is very clear about the fact that all aparadhas, Naam Aparadhas, are rooted in another or disrespect. Srila Rupa Goswami has said we should chant name with ādar, with respect. But if we have another, then it will certainly lead to Naam Aparadha. And we have to understand what are the Naam Aparadhas. So since we know this, that another or disrespect leads to aparadha, we should understand the aparadhas. And if we avoid the aparadhas, then we will avoid a major source of another, major source of disrespect. So first and foremost, let us try to understand aparadhas. What is the meaning of the term aparadha? What is the basic meaning? In English, how do we translate aparadha, Dhameshwar Prabhu?
What goes against worship?
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. That's more of a
Yeah.
etymological one. Offense.
Offense. Etymologically, what did you say etymologically?
What goes against worship?
What goes against radha or worship. And so that is aparadha. Etymologically, aparadha is made out of the prefix apa, which means which drives away, and radha means one's desired perfection. So how do we have this meaning? Because the verbal root radha, according to Panini, is in some siddhau, is in the context of attaining perfection. So radha means one's perfection, and apa means that which drives away. So apa, radha, that which drives away one's perfection. Some devotees also give a very creative interpretation. They say apa means that which drives away, and radha refers to Srimati Radharani. So that which drives away the mercy of Srimati Radharani is aparadha. So in this way, they derive many meanings, but this is the etymological meaning. That which drives away one's desired perfection is called aparadha. Because the term aparadha is not exclusive to the worship of Srimati Radharani and Krishna alone. The term aparadha is also for all sorts of worship. Therefore, in a general context, the term aparadha means that which drives away one's desired perfection. Now, having known this, we should understand that Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura also confirms that disrespect, another, leads to aparadha. Not only Sri Jiva Goswami, but Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura also confirms in a song. He says, Durdaiva amar senamay ādarāt nahaila dayama dasha aparadha amar durdaiva ke mane hai beksha. He says, Durdaiva amara. O merciful Bhagavan, Dayamay, my misfortune, Durdaiva, is that I did not develop ādar towards Krishna's Naam. And this is basically saying I had another, I had disrespect. And Dasha Aparadha Amara Durdaiva. My misfortune led to these 10 aparadhas towards Nama. Kemane hai bekshaya. How will these Naam aparadhas be vanquished? So today, we have to begin a detailed research into what are the Naam aparadhas and what do we do in order to avoid the Naam aparadhas. Although many of us are hearing Nama Aparadhas practically every day in the temple when we go. But dear devotees, when we start peeling the layers of the words of the previous acharyas, we will come to know there are so many details in the 10 Nama Aparadhas. And after hearing all those details, our vision towards the 10 aparadhas will no longer remain the same. This I guarantee. So dear devotees, this is one of the most important aspects of our bhajan and sadhan and how to avoid the 10 Naam Aparadhas. As much time as it takes, I am willing to devote. Today, we will not be able to cover all the aparadhas. Today, we'll just begin. But as much time as it takes, I will give to discuss all these aparadhas in as much detail as possible, dear devotees. Because this is such an important aspect of our spiritual life, nobody should miss understanding these 10 aparadhas. We have a translation of the 10 aparadhas in English, and today we will also try to see all the details. Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, they say that we should avoid these aparadhas by all means. This is the verse that they quote. Tasmimscha Bhagavan Namni Jagadekopakarini Vishwaik Sevye Madiman Aparadhan Vivarjayet. Matiman. Therefore, every intelligent soul must avoid committing aparadhas in relation to Bhagavan's Naam, Bhagavan Namni. And what is that Bhagavan's Naam? Which is the sole benefactor, Jagad Ekopakarani, and the exclusive object of service, Vishwaika Sevya, for the entire world. Dear devotees, we should all try to very diligently avoid 10 offenses in our practice of Krishna Naam. So, this entire discussion about 10 Naam Aparadhas occurs in the 11th Vilas, 11th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas. And from this particular Vilas, this is the first place in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya where a mention of the 10 Aparadhas is made. So this is the first place or the first literature in our Sampradaya which mentions the 10 Aparadhas, dear devotees. And this is the original source of our understanding of the 10 Aparadhas. All the translations that we have today are rooted in this. This is the Mula. This is the root of all the translations that we have today of the 10 Aparadhas in relation to Krishna Naam. These are the 10 Aparadhas as we have them today in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu. can you kindly read the 10 aparadhas?
The first is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. 6, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain some material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
So these are the 10 offenses to Krishna Naam that many of us are reading every day in the morning in the temple. Interestingly, the English translations have changed over the years. When the 10 offenses were introduced for the first time, they were in the handwriting of Srila Prabhupada. And I will show you the 10 offenses listed by Srila Prabhupada in his own handwriting, dear devotees. This is the first list of offenses. This is the handwriting of Srila Prabhupada, and this was displayed in front of all the devotees. And you can see here that there is considerable difference between what the handwritten list of offenses and what we have today. And you can see that the translations are also different, and some place the numbering is also different. You can see on the right hand side in the handwritten note, there is 1, 2, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Somehow second and third, there's only one number given for them. Secondly, there is also another difference. You can see offense number 7 on the right, instructing glories of Lord's name to the unfaithful. This is actually offense number 9 on the left hand side, to instruct a faithless person in about the glories of the holy name. So a lot has changed since the first handwritten note given by Srila Prabhupada. So we may have many translations of the 10 offenses, and it is also important to see the root, the original text of the 10 offenses. And in this series on Shri Upadeshamritam, what I'll be doing is exploring these 10 offenses from the earliest source, that is Hari Bhakti Vilasa, and then understanding the various implications of each and every aparadha given by the various acharyas, so that we have a thorough understanding of the offenses. So dear devotees, the first offense is to, as Prabhupada says in the right hand side, blaspheming a Lord's devotee, or on the left hand side, to blaspheme devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. So this is what it is. Now, Sri Sanatana Goswami says he will specify the 10 aparadhas. Gopal Bhatt Goswami and Sanatana Goswami say they'll specify the 10 aparadhas, but they want us to understand what is the severity of Naam Aparadha. And in order to make us realize what is the severity of Naam Aparadha, they list 2 verses in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, and I'm going to quote these 2 verses. Please hear them very carefully. So Sri Sanatana Goswami says, सर्वापराध कृदपि मुच्यते हरि संश्रयात् हरेरप्यपराधान्यः कुर्याद्विपदपांसवः. सर्व अपराध कृदपि, a person who commits all other types of aparadhas, all other, which means besides Naam Aparadha, all other types of aparadha, if somebody commits, muchyate, that person can be freed. from those aparadhas. How? Hari samshrayat, by taking full shelter of Hari. But Harerapi aparadhanyah, a person who ends up committing an aparadh towards Hari, kuryad dvipadapamsavah, is certainly the lowest amongst two-legged humans. For example, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, I wanted to ask you a certain question. For example, a person commits an offense on the road while driving a vehicle, and the police catches him. And when the police catches him, they find out that there are many offenses that he has committed previously, many tickets that he has received, but he has not paid for them. So they call him to the court. And when they call him to the court, he finds out that the judge is actually his school friend. So the judge looks at him and recognizes him and says, "What are you doing here?" And he also recognizes his school friend, his best friend from school. And then the judge lets him off with a warning. Says, "All right, because I am giving the decision here, I'll let you off with a warning." But as soon as he comes out, he ends up verbally abusing the judge. Will such a person be called intelligent?
No.
No. So this is the case here. A person who commits all other types of aparadhs besides Naam Aparadha can be freed from them by taking full shelter of Hari. However, a person who ends up committing an aparadh towards Hari is certainly the lowest amongst two-legged humans. Now the next verse is Namashrayah kadachit syat taratyeva sanamatah namnopi sarva suhrido yaparadhat patatyadha. Namashrayah kadachit syat. It may be possible that somehow that lowly human ends up taking shelter of Naam and gets freed from the aparadh towards Hari by the potency of Naam. For example, now the judge had allowed me to go scot-free, but as soon as I exited the courtroom, I ended up committing an aparadh towards the judge. Now the judge convicted me again and sent me to prison. After sending me to prison, it was suddenly found out that, oh, the president is also my friend. So the president requested special mercy and got me out of the prison. But as soon as I got out of the prison, I started verbally abusing the president. Now, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, who can save me?
No one.
No one. So, Namno pi sarva suhrido yaparadhat patatyadha. If he again ends up committing an aparadh towards that all merciful Naam itself, then his fall down is certain. So what the verses are trying to say is, all other aparadhas can be mitigated by taking shelter of Hari. But a person who ends up committing an aparadh towards Hari is a two-legged animal. It may be possible that such a two-legged animal may be saved by taking shelter of Naam. But then what to speak of a person who ends up committing an aparadh towards Naam? There is no respite for such a person. So this is the severity of Naam Aparadha, dear devotees. And these Naam Aparadhas are originally listed in the Sanskrit in Hari Bhakti Vilas. So I will specify the first Naam Aparadha as given by Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. This first Naam Aparadha is as follows. Satam nindanam nah paramam aparadham vitanute yatah khyatim yatam katham sahate tad vigarha. So, the Padma Purana lists the 10 aparadhas, and in the Padma Purana, this is a discussion between the 4 Kumaras and Narad Muni. And the first aparadha is as follows. Satam ninda, public criticism of a sadhu. Namnaha paramam aparadham vitanute, causes the greatest aparadh in relation to Naam. Paramam aparadham, greatest offense. Dear devotees, from the very first line we are beginning to see new aspects. That amongst the 10 aparadhas, which aparadha is the greatest? The first one. And where is it specified? Right there in the verse. Paramam aparadham. That is, for public criticism of a sadhu causes the greatest aparadh in relation to Naam. Public criticism means any criticism in general of a sadhu causes the greatest aparadh in relation to Naam. Question is, why so? Why is it the greatest aparadh? The verse answers by saying, Yatah khyatim yatam. Because it was the sadhu who caused Naam to become famous and renowned in the world. The sadhu spread Naam everywhere in the world. Katham usahate. How will Hari Naam tolerate tad vigarham, an aparadh towards that sadhu who made Naam famous? So Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, if there is somebody, for example, if let's say you're having a business and you hired a PR agency to promote your business. Now somebody started, instigating people against that PR agency. Would you be happy or unhappy?
Unhappy.
Yes. So katham usahate. So the sadhus are, spreading the glories of Hari Naam. And if somebody blasphemes those sadhus, criticizes those sadhus, how will Hari Naam tolerate the criticism of those sadhus who are making Hari Naam famous in the world? So this is Paramam Aparadham. This is the greatest aparadh in relation to Shri Hari Naam as specified in the Padma Purana. So dear devotees, this is the first aparadh. Now we have to understand Satam Ninda. What is Ninda? Ninda is defined by Srila Sridhar Svami in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Sridhar Swami says, Nindanam dosha kirtanam. Ninda means to perform kirtan, glorification of dosha, of faults. To spread the faults of somebody is called as Ninda. Nindanam dosha kirtanam. We should memorize this small sutra. Nindanam dosha kirtanam. Ninda means to spread the faults of somebody. So this is called Ninda. Satam Ninda. Criticism of a sadhu causes the greatest aparadha. Question arises, who is a sadhu and how many types of sadhus are there? So the answer is that there are two types of sadhus mentioned by our previous acharyas. Who are these two types of sadhus? In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are instructions by Bhagawan Rishabdev. And in the 5th canto, chapter number 5, verse number 2, Sri Rishabdev says, Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahur Vibhukte. Srila Prabhupada's translation is as follows. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, kindly read.
One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees.
So sadhus are of two types. What are the two types of sadhus? According to the translation given by Srila Prabhupada, the first type of sadhu is the impersonalist. The second type of sadhu is the devotee. Nameshwar Mahaprabhu, can we see any term for impersonalist or devotee in the original Sanskrit?
No.
Then why did Srila Prabhupada add these two terms in the translation?
Is it from Mahantaste Samachitta Prashanta? Like if you continue the rest of the verse, it describes the impersonalist.
But there should be a direct term for impersonalist and a direct term for a devotee. And if you see the translation ahead, Prabhupada translates the remaining verse also. And that section is different. But this is the translation for Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahur Vimukti. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. And there is no term in the original Sanskrit which says impersonalist or which says devotees. Why did he add these two terms? The reason for adding these two terms is very simple, because a previous Acharya, Srila Jiva Goswami, in his Krama Sandarbha commentary, says Nirvishesha Savisheshata Bhedena. These Mahat, these sadhus are of two types. Nirvishesha Savisheshata Bhedena. That first one is Nirvishesha, the impersonalist, and Savisheshata, the personalist. These are the two categories of sadhus. Dear devotees, very important to understand that the impersonalist is also considered as a sadhu. Because some of us are thinking that just because somebody is an impersonalist, so we get a license to assassinate their character. This is a very incorrect understanding. There are many impersonalists described in Shastra, as well as there are many impersonalists who are contemporaries. Dear devotees, all these impersonalists, as long as their character is good, as long as their character does not have any defects, till that point of time, they are to be given their due respect. The best example of this is Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who in front of Shri Prakashananda Saraswati offered nothing but the highest respect, befitting that of a sannyasi. On the other hand, it is unfortunate that many of us, just by knowing that a sadhu belongs to a school of impersonalism, immediately start critiquing the character of the sadhu. And sometimes we become so vicious in our criticism that we do not understand the after effects of such criticism. Satam Ninda. The verse could have said Vaishnavanam Ninda. The Naam Aparadha verse could have said Vaishnavanam Ninda. No. Satam Ninda. Criticism of all sadhus. And sadhus are mainly of two types. The Nirvisheshavadi, the impersonalist, and the Savisheshavadi, the personalist. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, is Hari Naam propagated only by the devotees, or do the impersonalists also chant and speak about Hari Naam?
They also chant and speak about Hari Naam.
So, even though they may be chanting Hari Naam in order to gain impersonal liberation, still they propagate Hari Naam in different sections of the society. And Hari Naam has taken due note of that, dear devotees. Because credit should be given where it is due. There are many faraway places, villages around the world, where devotees might not have gone, but an impersonalist might go there and speak about the names of Hari to various people. So Hari Naam recognizes that effort, and therefore we should not critique the character of such a sadhu, especially if the character is pristine. If the character is good, then we should not critique. If they are following the regulative principles nicely, if they don't have vyabhichar, deviation from moral code of conduct in their character, then we should never critique such sadhus. And even if they have some deviations, it is not our business to critique them. We have a problem with the philosophy of impersonalism. We don't have a problem with the character of impersonalists. We have a problem with the philosophy of Nirvisheshvad. We have a problem with the philosophy of Advaitavad. So let us not, reduce it to character assassination of the sadhus. So this is very important for all of us to understand, that there are two types of sadhus and we should not critique any one of them. If we have to critique, we can critique the philosophy that we do not agree with, because criticism of philosophy is genuine vada, allowed in all shastras. This is the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, that you can critique a philosophy, but you need not call names to the person who is following that philosophy. You need not assassinate the character of the person who is following that philosophy. So this is a lesson to be learned by all of us, dear devotees. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Madhurya Kadambari, specifies some more detail. He says, Tatra ninda iti anena dvesha drohadayopi upalakshante. Nameshwar Mahaprabhu, the first aparadh is satam ninda, to critique the sadhus. Since the verse says ninda, only criticism, does it mean that I can go and physically assault a sadhu? Because that was not mentioned in the verse.
No, the rest are implied.
Implied. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says upalakshante. Upalakshan. I had discussed the concept of upalakshan or metonymy in a previous session on Upadeshamritam. I had given the example of kakebhyo dadhi rakshatam. Protect the yogurt from the crow. And the mother told the son, protect the yogurt from the crow. And when she came back, the yogurt was spilled. So she was angry. She asked the son, I told you to protect the yogurt from the crow. The son said, oh, but the cat came and spilled it. So she said, when I said protect it from the crow, I also meant protect it from all other animals, and birds which can, destroy that yogurt. So upalakshan means metonymy. A certain term is spoken, but other terms are included in that term. That is called upalakshan, metonymy. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, upalakshante, through metonymy, the term ninda or criticism automatically includes other aparadhas such as envy towards a sadhu, causing harm to a sadhu, etc. All these are included in the first Naam Aparadha. So in the English, that we had read, the one detail, we had read one aspect of it, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives. So not only to blaspheme, to also hurt them physically, to have envy towards them. All these are additional aspects, dear devotees. And how many aspects are there? So when we were discussing the 5th verse, I had specified that there are 6 aparadhas towards Vaishnavas. And so those who are interested, they can see the 29th session where I had discussed that verse, Hanti Nindanti Vaidveshti. So what are the 6 things? To assault or kill a Vaishnava is the first. To needlessly critique or gossip about a Vaishnava, this is second. This is Ninda. Third is to envy a Vaishnava. Fourth is to not properly greet a Vaishnava. Fifth is to become angry upon a Vaishnava who is not one's disciple. And sixth is to not exhibit happiness on seeing Vaishnavas in general. So these are the 6 which are automatically included in the term Ninda, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has said. So Satam Ninda, that is criticism of the sadhus, also means assaulting or killing a sadhu, or also means envying a sadhu, or to not properly greet them, etc. All this was discussed, these 6 aspects were discussed in the 29th session of Shri Upadeshamritam. Devotees who are interested can go back and see that. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur summarizes this aparadha and says, he says, when such an aparadha happens, sometimes this aparadha happens unknowingly. Let's say this aparadha happens unknowingly. The term used by him is daivat. Let's say it happens unknowingly. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that even if it has happened unknowingly, the first recourse is always to seek forgiveness from the sadhu whom we have offended. That is the first recourse. Always we should seek forgiveness from the sadhu, especially if the sadhu is physically present and we are able to approach them. So this is the first thing that should be done. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says not only should we seek forgiveness, but we should also try to please the sadhu in some way so that they will be happy upon us. This can be done by offering them some gift or by glorifying them in public, etc. Third is, sometimes sadhus don't forgive easily. Sometimes some sadhu has become really offended. Then the person who has criticized the sadhu starts thinking, oh, if he was really a sadhu, he should have forgiven me. Let's say, hypothetically, I end up committing an aparadh towards Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu and I go and seek forgiveness from him. But Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu does not forgive me. And then I start thinking, if he is really a sadhu, He should have forgiven me. The fact that he is not merciful and he is not forgiving me means that he is not a sadhu. So what is the need for asking for forgiveness? Because the verse said satam ninda, criticism of a sadhu is aparadha. But he doesn't seem to be a sadhu because he is not forgiving me. So this is not the case, dear devotees. Even if they don't forgive, they are sadhus. Why? Because Krishna says in the Gita, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes, Api chet suduracharo. Even if somebody commits the most abominable action, sadhureva samantavya, that person is still to be known as a sadhu, dear devotees. So we should still try to seek forgiveness from them as far as possible. Next, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says sometimes a Mahabhagavat, we end up committing an offense towards a Mahabhagavat, but they are so broad-minded that they don't take any offense. Still, we should seek forgiveness and not take their broad-mindedness for granted. So still, we should make amends. And finally, he says, if seeking forgiveness is not possible, then we should take exclusive shelter of Hari Naam and chant in a helpless state of mind. This should only be done when all other options have been exhausted. This should not be taken as the first option, because some devotees will say, oh, I have offended that sadhu, I don't need to go ask forgiveness. I'll just directly start chanting Hari Naam in a helpless state of mind. This is kapat. This is cheating tendency. Therefore, dear devotees, this is the last recourse. If nothing else has worked, then one should take exclusive shelter of Hari Naam and chant in a helpless state of mind. So these are some pointers which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned in the Madhurya Kadambini. Third Vrishti. Vrishti is shower of nectar, but English we can say third chapter. In the third chapter of Madhurya Kadambini, all these have been mentioned. I could have gone into the details of all this, but it will become too voluminous. So I have mentioned the pointers here, dear devotees. So this is the first Naam Aparadha and how to get rid of it. Nameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu. We saw the English of the first Naam Aparadha, and now we have seen it from the previous acharyas. What do you feel now about the understanding of the first Naam Aparadha?
It includes a lot more than just criticizing, and also it's clear why it mentions who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord.
So many things have now become clear. First and foremost, why does the English say who have dedicated their name? Because the Sanskrit says, Yatah Khyatim Yatam. Because the holy name was, the Hari Naam was propagated by the sadhus. How will Hari Naam tolerate an offense against its own propagator? It is not possible. So this was the reason. Moreover, sadhus are of two types. So we do not have an open license to blaspheme the sadhu who is not from our school of understanding, dear devotees. They are also sadhus and they are very respectable. Very respectable. Some of them are much more austere than the Vaishnavas. So dear devotees, their character, many of those sadhus have pristine character. They are not inclined to a personal understanding of the absolute truth. But that is their inclination. Yadrishi bhavana yasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. According to one's inclination, one attains perfection. But this should not become an excuse for assassinating their character. So this is the first aparadh, dear devotees. And if some aparadh like this happens, then what can be done? This is mentioned here, dear devotees. Now, we come to the second Naam Aparadha. Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami and Sanatan Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. We had quoted only the first half of the verse. Now the remaining half of the verse gives the second Naam Aparadha. Shivasya Shri Vishnurya iha guna nama adisakalam Dhiya bhinnam pashyet sakhalu Hari Nama hitakara. So, Shivasya Shri Vishnur ya iha guna namadi sakalam. Anyone who considers the name, nama, qualities, guna, adi, etc., any other thing, pastimes of Shivasya, of Shiva, and Shri Vishnu and Vishnu to be Dhiya Bhinnam. Now I have highlighted this in red. Anyone who considers the name, form, qualities, pastimes of Shiva and Vishnu to be completely non-different or completely different is Sakhalu, he is certainly Hari Naam Aparadha. Hita means benefit, ahita means offense. So he is certainly Hari Naam Aparadha. He is certainly an offender into Hari Naam. Now here I have highlighted this Dhiya Bhinnam because the term Dhiya Bhinnam, Dhiya means using one's intelligence. Bhinnam, if one sees complete separation between Shiva and Vishnu's name, form, qualities and pastimes. And this term also breaks down as Dhiya plus Abhinnam. If using one's intelligence, one sees complete oneness between the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Shri Vishnu and Shri Shiva. So Dhiya Bhinnam breaks down in both ways. Dhiya plus Bhinnam, Dhiya plus Abhinnam. Both lead to Dhiya Bhinnam. In this case, we fall into a big problem. What is the big problem? Anybody who sees complete non-difference also becomes an offender. Anybody who sees complete difference also becomes an offender. So, what is the solution? The solution is given by our acharyas, is to see simultaneous oneness and difference between Shiva and Vishnu's names, forms, qualities and pastimes. Please know, dear devotees, that this aparadha is mainly in relation to Shri Shiva and Shri Vishnu. And we should understand why, this particular aparadha has been mentioned here and how to get rid of it. This is 11th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas. The solution is given in the 14th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas. In the commentary to a verse in the 14th chapter, Sri Sanatana Goswami says, Atra ayam siddhantah. Please try to understand the conclusion. Shri Vishnur eko devaha, Shivascha anya devaha. To consider Shri Vishnu as a separate deity and Shri Shiva as a separate deity. Ityevam anyatve bhasamani, to consider them separate and then to offer obeisances, tan namaskaradikam, Vaishnavanam ayuktam eva. To offer obeisances, etc. to Shri Shiva is certainly not appropriate for Vaishnava. So anybody who thinks that Shiva is a completely different deity and Vishnu is a completely different deity, and then goes and offers respect to Shiva, pays obeisances, etc., or disrespects Shiva, that person is certainly an offender and such behavior is not appropriate for Vaishnavas. Kintu, however, yatha matsyadayo lila avataras, one should know that just as Matsya etc. are Leela avatars, similarly Shri Shiva's Guna avatara. Similarly, Bhagawan Shiva is Guna avatar of Shri Vishnu. And in this way, to see non-difference in that way does not cause any fault. Iti abhedena, non-difference, na doshavaham, there is no fault. Apitu guna eva, in fact, it is favorable to perceive and worship Shiva in this way. Bhagavad Bhakti Vishesha eva paryavasanat, because it ultimately leads to devotion towards Vishnu. So to see Bhagawan Shiva as a Guna Avatara. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is a Guna Avatara?
A representation of God in the world according to one of the modes of nature.
Okay. Bhagawan Vishnu, Bhagawan Narayan in the spiritual world never interacts directly with the material energy. Never interacts directly. Whenever Bhagawan wants to interact directly with Maya, then Guna Avataras come into the picture. Shiva is a Guna Avatara and he interacts directly with material nature. Shiva is Vishnu who has selected direct interaction with material nature, dear devotees, because Vishnu never interacts directly with Prakriti or Maya. But Shiva, his consort is Devi. His consort is the material energy. His consort is Durga. So dear devotees, Bhagavan Shiva is Vishnu who has taken the task of direct interaction with the material energy. And therefore is called Guna Avatara. And a form of Vishnu who is interacting directly with the modes of material nature. And which mode does he interact with directly? The predominant mode which he interacts with is Tamoguna, or the mode of ignorance. So he himself is not affected by Tamoguna, but he controls Tamoguna in the material world. Sometimes, on rare occasions, some influence of the modes may be seen, but 99.9% of the time he is above the modes and he is controlling the mode of ignorance. So this is Guna Avatara, dear devotees. So to see Shri Shiva as a Guna Avatara of Vishnu, and then when we see a temple of Bhagawan Shiva, what should be our behavior? Should we turn away from that temple and seeing Shiva is a different deity? We don't know who he is, so we don't have to go and respect him. If we see like this, we will become an aparadhi. Somebody who says, oh, that is Shiva, is come, no difference at all. This is Vishnu only, directly Vishnu. That person is also an aparadhi. Both these people are an aparadhis. So, Guna Avatar. Here is Bhagawan Shiva. He is Guna Avatar of Shri Vishnu. In this way, he is a representative of Vishnu in the material world. So, he is, in a way, Vishnu. So, in that way, I will go and pay obeisances to Bhagawan Shiva. There is a verse composed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Stavamrita Lahari. And this verse, he glorifies Shri Shiva in a very nice way. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes this verse in a purport to Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is the verse. Vrindavanavani Jaya Soma Soma Maule Sanandana Sanatana Naradedya Gopishwara Vraja Vilasi Yugangri Padme Pritim Prayacha Nitaram Nirupadhikame. The last line is also has a certain variation. Prema Prayacha Nirupadhi Namo Namaste. Similar meaning, but I'll explain what this verse means. Vrindavana Avani Pate. O Pati, O protector of the Avani, the forest of Vrindavan, or the land of Vrindavan. Avani means land of Vrindavan. O protector of the land of Vrindavan. This is calling out to Shri Shiva. Jaya, glories to you. Soma. What is the meaning of Soma, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu?
It's either the moon or with his wife Uma.
So the first meaning is Sa Uma, with Uma. And the second Soma Mauli. And he who has the crescent moon on top of his head. And Sanandana Sanatana Narada Idya. Oh Shiva, whose Idya worshipped by Narada, Sanandana, Sanatana, and other sages. Oh Gopishwara. Oh Bhagawan Shiva, please do something for me. What do you want? Vraja Vilasi Yuga. There is a divine couple of Sri Vrindavan. Angri Padme, at their lotus feet. Pritim Prayacha, bestow pure love unto me. Nitaram, extreme pure love. Nirupadhikam, and causeless love unto me. So this is the prayer by Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur unto Bhagawan Shiva. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we all say that he has composed only 8 verses known as Shikshashtakam. But besides that, in Shri Murari Gupta's biography of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is also another composition, Shivashtakam, in which Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has glorified Bhagavan Shiva when he goes to visit Lingaraj in Bhubaneswar. So that those verses, if anybody wants to see, they are mentioned in the Shivashtakam of Shri Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya of Shri Murari Gupta. The first words of this song are as follows. I will show this song on the screen. This song is composed by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I am sharing my screen. This is the song. So this song was sung by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as he went to visit Lingaraj in Bhubaneswar. Namo namaste Tridasheshwaraya Bhutadinathaya Mradaya Nityam Ganga Tarango Thita Balachandra Chudaya Gauri Nayanotsavaya. So in this way there are many verses. I perpetually offer obeisances unto you, the Lord of the 30 primal devas, who are the original father of the created beings, whose character is gracious, upon whose head, which is crested by the sickle moon, the Ganga springs, and who is a festival for the eyes of Gauri, Parvati, the fair goddess. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way offered prayers to Bhagawan Shiva and entered into the temple of Bhagawan Shiva and also accepted prasad of Bhagawan Shiva, dear devotees. This is Bhagawan Shiva's position in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is how Bhagawan Shiva should be perceived. He is Bhagavan. He is Gunavatar of Vishnu. And in this way, we should see simultaneous non-difference and difference between him and Shri Vishnu. And in this way, we should offer respect to Bhagavan Shiva. So wherever we see in the world that there is a temple of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, nearby you will also find a temple of Bhagavan Shri Shiva. For example, in Shri Vrindavan, there is Gopeshwar Mahadev. Similarly, in Navadvip also, there is a temple of Mahadev. In Jagannath Puri also, near Jagannath Puri, there is Lingaraj Mahadev. In all the tirthas, Shri Mahadev is present as Kshetrapal, as protector of the Dham. And Sri Bhaktivinode Thakura has sung a song about it. Ohe Kshetrapala Shiva, tumi daya kare. O Kshetrapal Bhagawan Shiva, please be merciful unto me. Dear devotees, in this way we should understand the position of Bhagawan Shiva. For further confirmation, Shri Sanatan Goswami and Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami quote a verse in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Parat parataram yanti narayana parayana nate tatra gamishyanti ye dvishanti maheshwaram. Parat parataram yanti narayana parayana. Those who are dedicated to Shri Narayana. Parat parataram yanti. They attain destination beyond the highest point in the material world, which means they go to the spiritual world. But nate tatra gamishyanti. Ye dvishanti maheshwaram. However, those devotees of Narayan who are envious of Maheshwar, of Shri Shiva, never attain that destination. Dear devotees. So it is very important. This is from the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, quoted by Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami and commented by Shri Sanatan Goswami. Furthermore, they impress the point upon us by giving us Bhagavan Shiva's position. Now, Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami will also show how Shastra is also highlighting statements of non-difference between Shiva and Vishnu. So, another verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas, where Bhagavan himself is saying, Mad Bhaktah Shankara Dveshi, Madveshi Shankara Priyah, Ubhautau Narakam Yatau, Yavat Chandra Divakarau. Ubhautau, two types of people, Narakam Yatau, attain a hellish situation. Yavat Chandra Divakaro, for all, as long as the sun and moon exist in the sky. Which two type of people? Mad Bhakta Shankara Dveshi. One who is Mad Bhakta, my Vishnu or my devotee, Vishnu's devotee. But Shankara Dveshi, what one who envies Shankara. And second is Madveshi Shankara Priya, one who is Shankara Priya, devotee of Shankara, but Madveshi, envies me. Both these people attain a hellish situation for as long as the sun and moon are in the sky. So dear devotees, this is a very clear indication and warning to anybody who is worshipping one of the deities and is envious of the other deity. Next, to further hammer the point, Yah Shivah sohameveha yoham sa Bhagavan Shivah navayorantaram kinched akashanilayoriva. Yah Shivah, he who is Shiva, so ahameveha, He is me only. He is not different from me. That is Vishnu. And yo aham, and I too, sa Bhagawan Shiva, am non-different from Bhagawan Shiva. Here Vishnu himself is using the term Bhagavan for Shiva, dear devotees. Na avayor antaram kinchit. There is non difference between both of us. Akasha anilayor yatha. Just as there is non difference between the sky and the air. Of course, there is also a difference, but there is non difference. So, dear devotees, please try to understand. This is the simultaneous non-difference and difference between Shiva and Vishnu. Because sometimes we are thinking that Shiva is a mere mortal god. So this is not the case. Indra is a devata. Chandra is a devata. Vayu is a devata. Agni is a devata. But Shiva is Bhagavan. Dear devotees, please try to understand. Shiva is Bhagavan. He is not just one of the devatas. As we saw in the glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the leader of all the 30 devatas. Dear devotees. So he is Mahadev. He is the leader of all the devatas. And non-different from Bhagavan Vishnu in many ways. Further, the Hari Bhakti Vilasa says, Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shiva Rupaya Vishnave Shivasya Hridayam Vishnur Vishnostu Hridayam Shiva. Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya, obeisances to Shiva in the form of Vishnu. Shiva Rupaya Vishnave, and obeisances to Vishnu in the form of Shiva. Shivasya Hridayam Vishnur Vishnostu Hridayam Shiva. Vishnu is the heart of Shiva and Shiva is the heart of Vishnu. So dear devotees, this is the position of Bhagawan Shiva. I would request one thing from each and every one of you. If there is one thing that we can learn today, it is that we should know that Shri Shiva is to be referred to as Bhagavan. He is referred to as Bhagavan in many places in the Bhagavatam, in the Puranas, as well as in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And dear devotees, his position is in many ways non-different from Bhagavan Vishnu. And we also recognize that there are some differences. Our most worshipable Lord is Shri Vishnu. But we should never have even the slightest trace of envy for Bhagavan Shiva. This understanding will protect us from the second Naam Aparadha. Now, Nameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, the English for the second Naam Aparadha. Do you remember what the English said?
To consider names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy name of the Lord.
Yeah. So, in the English it said also Brahma. But when we saw the original Sanskrit, it said Shivasya Shri Vishnu. It only mentioned two deities. Which deities were mentioned, Dameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu?
Bhagavan Shiva and Bhagavan Vishnu.
Yes. These were the only two deities mentioned. Bhagavan Shiva, Bhagavan Vishnu. So why do we have Brahma in the English translation today? The reason for that is because not only disrespect of Bhagavan Shiva is to be avoided, but disrespect of other devatas like Brahma, like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. should also be avoided, dear devotees. Where is it specified like that? It is specified by our Acharya, Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami says, he gives 64 limbs of bhakti, and amongst those 64 limbs of bhakti, limb number 17 is to not disrespect any gods, any devatas. This is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti, dear devotees. Believe it or not. Because sometimes I have seen, unfortunately, sometimes when a discussion on Indra comes up, many devotees start calling names to Indra. And many devotees start saying that, they start assassinating his character. Dear devotees, Indra has rectified all his past mistakes by seeking forgiveness in front of Bhagavan. And when Bhagavan has forgiven him, we do not have any right to assassinate his character. So dear devotees, we should be very careful in describing the various devatas. The 17th limb of bhakti amongst the 64 limbs of bhakti is Anya Deva Anavagya. Sri Rupa Goswami says, Yatha Tatraiva, just as it is mentioned in the Padma Purana. Harir eva sadaradhya sarva deveshwareshwarah itare brahma rudradya navagyayah kadachana. The 17th limb of Uttama Bhakti is to not disrespect other deities. The Padma Purana says, Harir eva sadaradhya. Hari is always our most worshipable Lord. Why? Sarva Deva Ishwareshwara, for he is the God of all gods. But Itare, at the same time, other deities such as Brahma, Rudradya, Brahma, Rudra, etc. Na avagyeyah kadachana. Kadachana, at any point of time, they should never be disrespected. These are the direct words of Sri Rupa Goswami from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So I am quoting, this is the 17th limb of Bhakti. For limb number 11 to limb number 20 are negative limbs, which means by not doing something, you get Bhakti. Simply by not doing something, you get Bhakti. So you get Bhakti by not disrespecting the Devatas. Simply by avoiding disrespect of the Devatas, we get Bhakti. In this way, we avoid the second Naam Aparadha, which is to consider the names, forms, qualities, pastimes of Shri, Shiva and Shri Vishnu to be completely non-different or to be completely different from each other. And I have also specified how to avoid that Naam Aparadha, to consider Bhagawan Shiva as Bhagavan, but as a Guna avatar of Shri Vishnu. Whenever we see a temple of Bhagawan Shiva, we should go pay obeisances. We should also glorify Bhagawan Shiva using the prayers given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And we should, and when any other Vedic deity, any other Devata temple we see a temple of Devi, we see a temple of Ganesh, etc. We should offer respects to them. Dear devotees, they are all worthy of our respect. And nobody should be disrespected. So, in this way, dear devotees, I have managed to cover 2 Naam Aparadhas out of the 10 today. But I'm very happy that we are discussing all the Naam Aparadhas in great detail. Gradually, we will cover all the 10 Naam Aparadhas. Then we will know how to avoid another disrespect towards Hari Naam. And after learning how to avoid another, then I will start specifying from the previous acharyas how to offer other, how to offer respect to Shri Hari Naam. And once we learn how to offer other respect, and once we learn how to do it every day, then we will see a drastic change in our japa, kirtan, and smaran of Shri Hari's Nama, Shri Hari's Guna, Shri Hari's Rupa, Lila, etc. Dear devotees, with that, I would like to pause my speech for today. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. It is possible that I might have made a mistake while speaking all of this. It's heavily philosophical content. It's possible that I might have made a mistake. Vidvam saha, but all of you are intelligent devotees. Purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. But yadatra saushthavam kinchit. But if there's anything nice that you found, if your understanding was enhanced, please know, none of it came from me. Tad guroreva. It came from my Gurujanas. Me nahi. It did not come from me. Thank you very much, dear Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu. Thank you very much, all of you, dear devotees. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Hari Parsha Prabhu, for another really deep and profound and scholarly class. These are just so enlightening. Such a privilege to be here. Thank you very much. We're going to go now to questions and answers. And I'm just going to say my same spiel that I do every time. Please limit your questions to topics that were covered in today's class. And we don't want to bring up any particular people or institutions. We want to speak based on principle. So rather than, well, what about this guru? What do you think about them and what they say about this? We just bring up the idea and talk about that. And also, we want to make sure there's time for everyone. There's often a lot of questions. So if you have lengthy or multiple questions, if you can break it up into chunks, and we can always come back to you later. Anything else, Prabhuji?
No, I think we're good. Let's
Okay.
begin.
With that, we'll start with Sandeep Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji, about Lord Shiva and Bhagawan Vishnu's this respect. Prabhu, I just wanted to ask you about that. What causes among the devotees that this point is given by the acharyas? I mean, how? I mean, this enemy. I mean, how devotees got this idea of amongst the difference between Lord Shiva and this Bhagavan Vishnu, like this. I mean, what is the reason why acharya given this point? This is my question. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, what is the reason for certain devotees having this, differential attitude? So, this is specified, in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, that the lowest category of devotee is somebody who sees the presence of Bhagavan in only one place. This is in 3rd canto, 29th chapter, verse number 25, 3:29-25, by Kapila Muni. Archada varchayet tavad ishwaram mam swakarma krit yavanna veda swahridi sarva bhuteshva avasthitam. So he says, performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the heart of other living entities. So Bhagavan is asking all devotees to broaden their perspective. Don't see me only in one place. Don't see me only as Krishna. See me also as Ram. See me also as Narsimha. See me also as Varaha. And in this way, see me also as Shiva. See me also as present as Paramatma within the hearts of all the living entities. Next verse he says, Atmanascha parasyapi yo karoti antarodaram tasya bhinna drisho mrityur vidadhe bhayamulbanam. He says, as the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whosoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. So this is one place. Another place, Bhagavan also says, yes, this is what I wanted to say. 3:29:8. Abhisandhaya yo himsam dambham matsaryam evava sambrambhi bhinna drik bhavam mayi kuryat sat tamasah. The lowest category of devotee, Kapil Muni says, devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent and angry, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. So there are many individuals who become devotees, but within their minds, they are separatists. They like to take sides and they feel that they are on the best side and all others are inferior. So such a separatist mindset is often present amongst many neophyte or Kanishth Adhikaris, and this is what makes them envious and proud, and the reason has been specified in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So one should note these references and one should avoid the behavior of Kanishta Adhikar. So I hope that answers your query.
Next we have Dhananjay Tiwari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dharan Pranam. My question was around prasadam. What would be the do's and don'ts that a Vaishnav should follow while taking prasadams from Bhagawan Vishnu, Shiv or other Devi Devtas if anyone is offering?
When somebody offers prasad of a devata or of Bhagawan Shiva to us, we should note a few things. First thing is, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Bhuvaneshwar, to Lingaraj Mandir, he accepted the prasad or remnants of Bhagawan Shiva. Because our motivation is that we want to improve in our bhakti, and Bhagawan Shiva can give us blessings to improve in our bhakti. So for this reason, Bhagawan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the prasad of Bhagawan Shiva when he went to Lingaraj in Bhuvaneshwar. Now, regarding other devatas, some acharyas say that one may accept, provided that one accepts only with the intention of gaining Krishna bhakti, not for any material desire. Some other acharyas say, do not accept, just give respect by touching it to your head, and then you can offer that prasad to any other suitable living entity. So in this way, what to do with the prasad of other devatas has been also specified, but no disrespect. No disrespecting the prasad of any devata, not by throwing it here and there, by keeping it respectfully at a place where a living entity can consume that prasad. That is also giving respect. So in this way, dear devotees, we can show respect to prasad of all the devatas. And on many occasions, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accepted directly the prasad of Bhagawan Shiva. So this is what can be done. All right. So this is the answer to your query.
Next we have Bhishmadeep Roy from Guru.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Prabhu, at the last of the lecture, you told that Shiva is also considered as Bhagavan. So, as we say, there are six conditions, like six opulences, Aishwarya, Samagrasya. So, other aspects are understood that Shiva also has, but how do we understand that Shiva also has Aishwarya or opulence? And I also have a doubt regarding this question only, that we say six opulences, but we also count this opulence as one of the, like, one who has opulence, and we like, I hope you understood the question.
All right. I'll answer one by one. First is, we say six opulences are there in Bhagavan. The Sanskrit term is six bhaga are there. Sharnam bhaga iti ingana. These six are known as bhaga. Just as a person who has rupa, beauty, is called rupavan. Just as a person who has dhana, wealth, is called dhanavan. Just as a person who has buddhi, intelligence, is called buddhiman. Similarly, a person who has bhaga is called as Bhagavan. Yes. So the meaning of Bhagavan is somebody who is in eternal possession of the six bhagas. The original Sanskrit does not say Aishwaryas. Six bhagas. What are the six bhagas? Aishwarya is one of them. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa shriya jnana vairagyayoschaiva sharnam bhaga itingana. These six are called as bhaga. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says nitya yoge matup. The suffix Bhagavan, van suffix is matup suffix. It is in the context of nitya yoga. Eternally, Bhagavan is equipped with these six. There is no time when Bhagavan is separated from these six. Question is, how does Bhagavan Shiva have the bhaga, or in English we say the opulence of Aishwarya, the opulence of opulence, or the bhaga of opulence? Actually, technically speaking, he has the bhaga of opulence. How does he have that? Bhagavan Shiva externally appears to be most renounced, but he is fully capable of producing any opulence at any point of time. It is specified in Srimad Bhagavatam and other literature. Wherever Bhagawan Shiva discharged semen, gold mines were formed. This is Bhagawan Shiva's potency. It is specified in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Bhagawan Shiva is capable of producing gold mines simply, by his own power and potency. There is no dearth of, any opulence within him. This is the answer to your query.
Bhaga is also guna.
Bhaga is a separate.
Like we say Ram, Narsimha Ramakrishna to Shadgunyam Paripuritam. So guna is also Bhaga, or this is different?
So Shadgunya, sometimes Bhaga, a similar term is guna, but the original term is Bhaga. Shannam Bhaga Itingana. That is the answer.
Clear. Thank you.
Andy.
Next we have Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu.
Yeah, Hari Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for your enlightening class, Prabhu. You really summarized the Shiva Tattva very quickly for us. Prabhuji, I wanted to ask you, if we had represented the demigods in a derogatory manner in some way or the other, then how can we rectify that? That is my question, Prabhu.
If we have critiqued the Devatas, then what we can do is, we should, just as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in the Madhurya Kadambini, see, first and foremost, Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu, are Devatas sadhus or not sadhus? Please tell me. No, he's muted. Are Devatas sadhus or not?
Definitely they are.
So if Satam Ninda has happened, what is the solution given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? What is the first solution given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur?
So we go to them and we seek forgiveness from them, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So we should, because, whichsoever Devata we have critiqued, we should seek forgiveness for our needless criticism that we have done. Some Devatas may not have a mandir or a temple, but Devatas are present, in many places. Many Devatas can perceive and see, what somebody is saying or speaking. Therefore, we should offer forgiveness wherever we are. We should seek forgiveness from those particular Devatas. Nothing separate is needed, but we should honestly seek forgiveness from a Devata whom we have needlessly critiqued. That is the answer to your query.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Next we have Omkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Danda. Prabhuji, I had the question against this Satam Nanda. As we saw, like in the last two verses, that Anya Nindadi Shunyam is the characteristic of a Uttama Mahabhagavata. So basically, this goes like a circular logic. The point is, at our stage, it sometimes becomes really difficult that we may not openly criticize someone, but we may not accept some ideas, or there maybe have been some offenses from the side of some devotees towards our gurujanas, which makes our heart a little disturbed, due to which we utter some statements, maybe not in public but in private, which may be considered as criticism. So is this also the part, like this will also cause the Naam Aparadha? Then this will actually be like a circular logic, like till we are stopping it, we are not going to achieve the position of a Mahabhagavat. Until we are going to achieve the position of a Mahabhagavat, we are naturally not going to stop criticizing completely.
Okay. So the exact definition of Ninda is Nindanam Dosha Kirtanam. Ninda means open glorification of the faults of somebody. That is called Ninda. So therefore I quoted the definition of Srila Sridhar Svami, Nindanam Dosha Kirtanam. But if we do not speak it openly, but if we have some dvesha in our hearts, some envy or repulsion in our hearts towards another Vaishnava, that is also in Upalakshana, by metonymy, it is also included as, one of the Vaishnava Aparadhas, though not as severe as direct Ninda. But when we are staying in the association of an Uttamadhikari Mahabhagavat, we learn to emulate their behavior. The presence of the unconventional guidance of the Uttamadhikari Mahabhagavat Guru tells us that even though we may not be an Uttamadhikari Mahabhagavat, we are supposed to emulate the behavior of that Uttamadhikari Mahabhagavat. And simply by emulating the behavior of that particular person, we start getting many of their good qualities. And thus, even in a stage of being a neophyte or a Madhyamadhikari, we stop many of our negativities. On top of that, our continuous kirtan, smaran and japa is going on, which is helping us come out of our previous aparadhas. This is what breaks the vicious cycle. That is the answer to your query.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I raise my hand, but it automatically goes down when I do
No,
things.
no worries, Prabhu.
I have heard that the text that gives us the 10 offenses is originally a Shaivite text. And while we were reading it, I noticed some ambiguity in the words. And especially in the second verse, it said Hari Namni. And I know Hari can also be a name of Shiva. And so I was wondering, is this true? Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. If we see the original Sanskrit of the Dasha Naam Aparadha, the 10 Naam Aparadhas, both names are mentioned there. Shivasya, Shri Vishnu, these two names are mentioned. And Hari Naam Ahitakaraha. This is where it says Hari Naam. Now, Hari, if we take the primary meaning of Hari, it refers to Vishnu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's technique is to always take the primary meaning of a particular term. So the primary meaning of Hari here is Vishnu. Secondary meanings we can derive, and we can say that Hari also means Shiva. Similarly, we can derive a secondary meaning of Shiva and say that Shiva actually means Vishnu. But both deities are mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. I would like to share my screen and show the 10 aparadhas, the original Sanskrit, and I would like to point out where the names of both deities are mentioned in the 10 aparadhas. I am sharing my screen. This is the section in Hari Bhakti Vilas. It says Atha Nama Aparadha. Now the 10 Nama Aparadhas. In the first Nama Aparadha itself, we can see Hari Nama Ahitakaraha. So this is where Hari's name is mentioned. Later, he says Ashraddha Dhane Vimukhape Shranvite Yas Chopadesha Shiva Nama Aparadha. So it also says not only Hari Naam Aparadha but also Shiva Naam Aparadha. The indication is that the 10 aparadhas are applying to both categories of sadhakas. Those who are chanting not only Shri Vishnu's names but also those who are chanting Shiva's names. Otherwise, there will be a big problem. The big problem will be that only Vaishnavas will become subject to Naam Aparadhas, and those who are worshippers of Shiva will become free of all Naam Aparadhas, even if they disrespect Vishnu. So, these 10 Naam Aparadhas are applicable not only on the Vaishnavas but also on those who are devotees of Bhagawan Shiva. So, the Naam Aparadhas are parallelly getting applicable to both categories or both types of individuals. So that is the answer. And according to one sampradaya, one can interpret Shiva as Vishnu and Vishnu as Shiva. Sarve shabdaha sarvarthakaha. An expert grammarian can derive all meanings from all terms. It is also possible. So just as, we say, when in our Mahamantra, the term Rama is there. And our Acharya, Gopal Guru Goswami, he says, Radhika Ramayan Nityam Rama Ityabhidhiyate. He who sports Ramayan with Srimati Radhika is known as Ram. So he has derived the meaning Krishna from the term Ram. So that is what, this is what in Gopal Champu, in the beginning, Gopala Raghunathapta Vrajavallabha Pahi. Raghunath. So Raghunath is the term for Bhagavan Ram. Raghunath is the name of Lord Ram. Sri Jiva Goswami says, Ralayo Rabhedaha. There is no difference between the syllables Ra and La. So Raghunath is actually Laghunath, the small Lord. So between Krishna and Balram, who is Laghunath? He is actually, Krishna is the Laghunath. So Gopala Laghunath Apta. He says Raghunath actually means Laghunath, the small Lord, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. In this way, Sarve Shabda Sarvarthika. It needs an expert grammarian to derive all meanings from all terms. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prefers Mukhya Vritti, which primary meaning is preferred over all other secondary meanings. The primary meaning of Hari is Vishnu. Primary meaning of Hara is Shiva. Hara means Shiva. Hari means Vishnu. Hari, Hara, Vishnu and Shiva. So I hope that satisfies your query.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Next we have Adi Bhagavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanatram.
Mm.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the class. And I liked very much that you went into the route, starting from ādarāt and then going to Anadara and then going to Aparadha, and told all the details and going to take other offenses also. Thank you very much. So, Prabhuji, my question is about, you mentioned about Indra and other devtas we should not offend and disrespect. So my question, Prabhuji, in the Govardhan Lila, as we see the Acharya's comment that actually Indra was having false pride and ego, and as such you mentioned that he has seeked the forgiveness from Lord Krishna. So we should understand in that way. And my particular question is about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentioning that there are Sattvic Bhavas and Vyabhichari Bhavas also appearing in Indra, and other demigods also, Brahma also are mentioned. So particular question about Indra is there, Prabhuji, that should we consider that same Indra which is in the Govardhan Lila is explained here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, now showing this Sattvic Bhavas? So what is the understanding, Prabhuji? I wanted to know.
See, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you'll have to specify which exact verse you are referring to. So what you can do is maybe you can specify the number of the verse, because you are referring to a very specific verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So if you could type out the verse number in the comments, then I will be able to get an idea, because there are multiple verses, where Indra is mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So you'll have to specify that verse number, and you'll have to then, if there is a commentator who says something about it, then we can come to know whether it is speaking about the same Indra. In general, I will tell you the principle is that in the spiritual world also, there are some devatas who are there to manage the affairs of Goloka Vrindavan. So in this way, Bhagawan Shiva is also present in the spiritual world, and then Chandra and Surya are also present there in the spiritual world. So all these devatas are present even in the spiritual world. This is confirmed by Sri Rupa Goswami in Laghu Bhagavatamritam. He says that, this, for example, Shri Ganesh is present in the spiritual world as Vishwaksen. So, so in this way, the devatas are present in the spiritual world. But if you are asking a specific verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you can specify the verse number. We can always look into the commentaries, and then we can see if a mention of a special Indra is there. If there's no mention of a special Indra, then it can be it can be assumed that it is referring to the Indra who is currently guarding our particular world. Right?
Yes, I will locate and send it in the WhatsApp group.
Sure.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Next we have Dipayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for taking this Hari Bhakti Vilasa. I was interested long back to read this section, but now you're taking it, that desire will get fulfilled. My question is regarding the Ninda part of other sadhus or devtas also. Sometimes we may have this understanding if we are preaching and some of our acharyas are there, like maybe Srila Prabhupada or Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, and they were like lion guru, or they were very strong in how they used to preach. So we may feel that I also have to represent them. Right? So what would you have to say to that, Prabhuji?
My reply to that is that in the published works of Srila Prabhupada, because published works are considered as public, they are in public domain. In the published books of Srila Prabhupada, I'm not speaking about conversations that he had in private with his disciples. In the published works of Srila Prabhupada, do you find him critiquing any sadhu or any impersonalist by name?
No.
No, you do not find. Now, we find him critiquing certain individuals by name in private discussions. So when that happens, we should understand. Therefore, when I specified criticism, I had put a point there, needless criticism. And what is needless criticism, and what is, what sort of criticism is okay? Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura specifies that in a particular section on I will point Vaishnav Ninda. So I think I had shared an article about it a few days ago. I will
in the group.
Not in the group. I had also posted it on Facebook. I will share that screen, and so that everybody can see right now. See here, in an article entitled Vaishnav Ninda, Criticism of the Vaishnav, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura quotes a very rare reference from a literature named Nama Tattva Ratnamala. These are 2 verses quoted by him, and these 2 verses deserve careful attention. These 2 verses are as follows. Prag bhakterudaya doshah kshayavashishta eva cha daivotpannascha bhaktanam naivalochah kadachana saduddeshamrite yastu mrashapavadameva cha doshan alochayatyeva sasadhu nindako dhamah. 3 types of faults of devotees. Those that were seen in them before bhakti arose in their lives, those that are remaining in them in minor degrees as they are being cleansed through bhakti, and those rare faults that arise accidentally in them due to providence should never be deliberated upon anyone at any point of time. Anyone who deliberates upon the faults of the Vaishnavas without a genuine reason, and a genuine reason, or deliberate simply for the sake of spreading rumors, should be understood to be a despicable critic of sadhus. Now, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura specifies the 3 genuine reasons. First genuine reason when one can discuss faults is if a person will be holistically benefited by gently and privately telling them. Secondly, if a disciple privately requests a guru to teach the science of Vaishnavism, and the guru while doing so points out the faults of the non-devotees for the benefit of the disciple and the benefit of the world. And third is to critique a non-devotee show bottle spiritualist who is clearly cheating people. This criticism is to be done to protect innocent people from the trap of show bottle spiritualists. So in private, there are some exceptions allowed only between guru and disciple. So those are specified by Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura, and I had specified them in an article previously that I wrote in English. So therefore, when I translated, I was very carefully translated as needless criticism, because some criticism is needed. But that criticism also is in private between the guru and disciple. And therefore, in the published works of Srila Prabhupada, you will not find direct criticism by name of any impersonalist, like that. And even if in an exceptional case, you may find, he does not make it a regular feature of his writing. Maybe in one rare place you may find a name, but other than that, you may not find. So that is what can be said. I hope that satisfies your query.
Thank you very much. Very clear answer. Thank you.
Next we have Pawan Sahani.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu, for this wonderful class. Whenever I hear your classes, it's actually very nourishing and pleasing to hear. My question is regarding, you mentioned about Lord Shiva represents the modes of nature as the ignorant mode of nature of material nature, and 99.9% is above this mode of nature. So I want to understand what is that 0.1%, why, how and why we can understand he's not affected by 0.1%. Any reference or any analogy or example we can go to make this clear.
See, the thing is, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, when Shri Brahma is praying to Bhagavan, Shri Brahma says that sometimes I become overwhelmed by the mode of passion when I am, creating the material universe. And because Shri Brahma is the Guna Avatara of the mode of Rajogun, that is the mode of passion. So sometimes, he gets overcome by that particular mode. Now, sometimes, Shri Shiva also, but on a very rare occasion, he shows, that he is covered by the modes. Now, this is specified in Srimad Bhagavatam. I will quote the Pramana. Let me find. Yes. This is 1088.3. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shiva Shakti Yutah Shashvat Trilingo Guna Sambritaha Vaikarikas Taijasascha Tamasaschaityaham Tridha. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Lord Shiva, Bhagawan Shiva is always united with his personal energy. And what is that energy? Material nature. Manifesting himself in 3 features in response to the entities of nature's 3 modes, he thus embodies the threefold principle of material ego and goodness, passion, and ignorance. So where it says Guna Samvritaha, he is surrounded by the modes. And because he is surrounded by the modes, there are pastimes seen when Sati commits suicide and Bhagawan Shiva starts crying. And, all these pastimes are seen. And these pastimes, very temporarily indicate, although in Lila, it very temporarily indicate some effect of the modes. Otherwise, 99.9% of the cases, he is above the modes. That is the answer to your query.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Mahesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Anat Naam. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the detailed explanation of the Naam Aparadhas. Prabhuji, I had a question regarding this, that if some devotees have some severe health issues or some problems in their life, generally they pray to Lord Narasimha or we do Narsingh Kavacha or something like that. So can we pray to Shiva or like worship? As generally it is very popular. He's Ashutesh. He is very easily pleased. And considering him as a non-different from like in the sense he's a topmost Vaishnava, like we have discussed, he is non-different from Vishnu, and he's different also as the Tattva you have discussed. And in one of your older lectures, you talked that one devotee was from Srimad Bhagavatam. You said that he worshipped the demigods, but considering him as the parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So can you would like to give some clarity about this point?
All right. So, can we worship Bhagawan Shiva for getting rid of health problems, etc.? So, the answer to this query is that Bhagawan Shiva should be prayed to by a Vaishnava only for the sake of advancement in bhakti. Because the reason for that is, a Vaishnava is supposed to have Saranagati. Saranagati means it translates as surrender, but there are 6 limbs of Saranagati. What are the 6 limbs of Saranagati? Srila Rupa Goswami specifies in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishwasa goptritve varnam tatha. and Atma Nikshepa Karpanye Shadvidha Sharanagati. So there are 6 limbs of Sharanagati or surrender to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. I will point out this verse. Shadvidha Sharanagati. Yeah. So in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Prabhupada quotes this verse. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. What are the 6 limbs of Sharanagati? 6 aspects of Sharanagati. Accepting only that which is favorable for one's bhakti. Pratikulyasya varjanam, rejecting that which is unfavorable. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso. Krishna will certainly protect me. This firm faith. Goptritve varnam tatha. And accepting only Shri Krishna as one's maintainer. Atma nikshepa. Completely submitting one's body, mind and words, and karpanye, humility. These are the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. So Goptritve and Rakshishyati. These are, Krishna is the only protector, Krishna is the only maintainer. These are the 2 aspects of Sharanagati. Therefore, when it comes to material life or any material aspect, one should put complete faith in Bhagavan Shri Krishna's protection and Bhagavan Shri Krishna's maintenance. Bhagavan Shiva as well as other devatas should only be resorted to when we want to pray for advancement in our bhakti. That is the answer to your query.
Next we have Kamniya Krishna Prabhu. You're still muted, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my humble obeisance to you on Lord Vishnu. Thank you for so much wonderful, peculiar, and mind-boggling class on Aparadhas, and the flow was perfect. So, Prabhuji, my question, curiosity is basically regarding the article which you showed for the Bhaktivinode Thakura. And also, I think you showed one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, devotee in darkness. So when we talk about show bottle of spiritualists, if you can open that page, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll go back to that page. And
yeah, so that inconvenience.
No problem. This is what it is. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, is that sometimes it happens that show bottle spiritualists, they claim themselves as a devotees, like devotees of Krishna and all, and they have a lot of material propensity to gain money, fame, and all these things, right? So if the people get attracted to him, and so if you happen to be if you have to tell that person who is getting attracted that, okay, this is kind of a, because that, somehow or other, maybe some people know about that. So is it a blasphemy of that spiritualist or the so-called devotee if you tell about his truth to the other people? Is that called as a blasphemy, or because at other end also the person who is trusting, he is a devotee or he is what you call neophyte devotee. So is it good to tell, or like we should not blasphemy, or like in these situations, what should we do basically, to getting from his cheating propensity?
Okay, wonderful. So let me rephrase your question, because this particular point of Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura said that a guru can privately critique a non-devotee show bottle spiritualist who's clearly cheating people. But what about the situations when sometimes the cheating is happening from the hands of a devotee? There is a devotee who is cheating people, and you want to prevent an innocent person from getting cheated. So the question is, should we directly critique that particular devotee who's cheating, or is it considered as aparadha, or what should we do? So I hope I got your
No,
query.
yeah, not critic, but telling the truth, basically.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
What should we do? Yeah, should we
not
tell them?
spreading the rumors, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the answer to this query is that this particular point of Srila Bhaktivinode Thakur was for the non-devotee show bottle spiritualist. For example, there are some people who pretend to be spiritualists and who say, I don't believe in any shastras, I don't believe in any Vedas, you can be whosoever you want, no need to read any books. These are non-devotee show bottle spiritualists. Now the devotee believes somewhat in Shastra, even if he's a new devotee, believes, has some faith in Shastra. Then, because in the case which you are speaking of, the person who is cheating is a devotee, therefore some care must be taken. What care must be taken? Better to speak on principles rather than speaking about personality. For example, let's say, uh, you are my friend. Of course, you are my friend. You are my friend, and I see that some other devotee is cheating you. So what I will do is I will tell you some principles. I will tell you, see, Prabhu, if somebody is offering you some material reward for bhakti, and that is the only motivation, then most likely that is not a good indication of advancement in bhakti. So I will speak based on principles rather than pointing out a personality. In this way, by speaking in terms of principles, we avoid speaking of the character of an individual. Thereby, we avoid assassinating somebody's character directly or indirectly. Thereby, the whole thing is avoided. Now, if the person in front of us is intelligent, they will understand whom we are speaking about. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, don't say cow, just say an animal with tail and a hoof and, like that. So, in this way, you should describe the characteristics and principles that should be avoided instead of specifying the personality that should be avoided. And then you leave it up to that person and Bhagavan to decide what is good for them. So that is the answer to you. I hope that satisfies your query.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was really precise answer. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm going to trade off to Padma Purana Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hari
I think next was my hand up.
Yes, yes.
I'll
Yes, sure.
ask a question, Prabhuji.
Sure.
So, thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. I think it's the norm for you, so I wouldn't say it's just as usual. Absolutely amazing class. I really liked the discussion on Lord Shiva, and I'm so happy that hopefully we'll be going through in so much detail on all the Naam Aparadhas. I'm really, really looking forward to all the classes. Prabhuji, my question is on Lord Shiva. There are many, my understanding is that, or I have come across these various names, Lord Shiva, Shankara, Rudra, Shambhu. My probably half understanding is that there may be some subtle differences in the understanding of these names, like they are different like there are several Rudras. Among the Rudras, I am Shankara, Rudra Naam Shankarashchashmi. He's Lord says in Bhagavad Gita. Some light, if you could. I know it may be a big answer, then you can provide some pointers or just some how to understand these various concepts.
Okay, so I had the good fortune of giving a presentation on Shivratri. So in that presentation on Shivratri, there was a particular section in which Bhagawan Shiva and his various aspects were discussed. So let me, in Laghu Bhagavatamritam, basically, I'll come back to that. In Sri Laghu Bhagavatamritam, Srila Rupa Goswami takes up the topic of Bhagawan Shiva. And when he takes up the topic of Bhagawan Shiva, at that time Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan specifies, yeah, let me share the verse and the commentary of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan with you so that it becomes clear. Here it is. So this is Laghu Bhagavatamritam. The section is Shri Rudra. So Rudra Ekadasha Vyuhas. Rudra is Ekadasha Vyuha, 11 forms. Tatha Ashtatanur api asau. And some, 8 bodies also he manifests. Prayah Panchananas. Mostly he has 5 heads. Triyaksho, 3 eyes. Dashabahur, 10 hands. Udiryate, he is specified as. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan takes the sentence Rudra Ekadasha Vyuha. Rudra has 11 manifestations. Atra Bharata Vakyam. Now the statement of Mahabharata in this regard. What is the statement of Mahabharata? Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says, Ajaika Pad Ahir Budnyo Virupaksho Tharaivatah Harascha Bahurupascha Trambakascha Sureshwaraha Savitrascha Jayantascha Pinaki Cha Aparajitah Ityetat. 11 names. What are the 11 names? Ajaika Pad, Ahir Budnya, Virupaksha, Raivata, Hara, Bahurupa, Trambaka, Sureshwara, Savitra, Jayanta, Pinaki, and Aparajita. These are the 11 names. 11 names according to the various pastimes that he has performed. These are names according to pastimes. Now, 8 Ashtatanu, 8 locations in which he has 8 different forms. Prithvi, in earth, Shiva is present. Salilam, in water. Tejaha, in fire. Vayuhu, in wind. Akasha, in the sky. Surya Chandramasau, in the sun and moon. And finally, Somayaji, in the Brahmana who performs Somayagya. In the Brahmana who performs Yagya. Ashtamurtaya. Bhagawan Shiva is present in these 8 places also. So in this way, according to pastimes and according to location, the names are given. So that is, what is specified by the commentators here. So I hope that satisfies your query to some degree.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I think we are in the second round.
Yeah.
So we have Deepayan Prabhu.
Yeah.
I think Prabhuji, you will have to request to unmute. I don't.
Yeah,
see that option.
I'll ask him. Yeah.
Prabhuji, that point you made about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking prasadam in Lingaraj temple, I was very interested. Could you please share reference if somebody asks? There.
Okay, because I'll Chaitanya Bhagavat or somewhere. I'll look up the reference and I'll share it. I'll try to find it meanwhile. But the thing is, at least there is no prohibition against taking the prasad of Bhagawan Shiva if it is taken.
Yes.
For the sake of advancement in one's bhajan, and secondly, if it is niramish. Niramish means if it is not containing any unfavorable substances for Vaishnavas. So that can be taken. There is no harm because the motivation is very clear. The motivation is to advance in the on the path of bhakti. Yeah. Still, I will try to find the reference, and if I find it here, I will share. And
Sure.
then if not, I'll share it in the WhatsApp group. All right.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sure. Thank you.
All right. All right.
And the last hand raised is Vishwadeep Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have, if I am the last one, then can I ask 2 questions if possible?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So my first question is that now Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu told that the original source of the Naam Aparadha slokas are of Shaivite texts. But I heard somewhere, I have read somewhere that it was from Padma Purana. So can you clear that from where?
Can you repeat the query? I couldn't hear, Prabhu.
Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu told that that the origin, the slokas of Naam Aparadhas are from a Shaivite text. But somewhere I read that it is from Padma Purana. So can you clear the reference?
No, the Hari Bhakti Vilasa says it is from Padma Purana. That's all.
Okay.
So the source
And I
mentioned
was-
by
yeah.
so the source mentioned by is in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa is Padma Purana. It's very clear. Right. And
It's not a Shaivite text.
it may also be in a Shaivite text, but it is also there in Padma Purana. So I mean, I don't deny that it may be in a Shaivite text also, which obviously because the Naam Aparadha is applicable to both Vaishnavas and to the Shaivites. But it is for us the most prominent source where it is found is in the Padma Purana, as specified in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. All right? Yeah.
And my second question is, in recent class, you told that when can I ask one from a recent class of yours, like 2 days
Sure.
before you gave a class,
Sure.
that when Bhagwan comes as Rishi, he mostly wants to cheat some group of people and to establish one type of religion for that point of time, which is favorable for that point of time. So I have a question that we say that Sankhya philosophy is propagated or which is introduced by Kapil Muni. And in Bhagavad Gita, I read that, I think it's in Bhagavad Gita only that Prabhupada said that Nastik Kapil is different from the Astik. So my doubt is that the Sankhya philosophy is introduced by the Kapil Muni that we read in Bhagavatam, or it is some other Kapil Muni?
In the Sankhya which we are reading in the Bhagavatam?
No.
The Sankhya which we are having today, that is Nirishwar Sankhya. That is considered to be
so that is
the different.
Not that Kapil Muni.
That is a different Kapil Muni. All right. So I would like to go back to Dipayan Prabhu. Okay. Dipayan Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
So I'd like to share screen. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya 2.308. Sarva Tirtha Jala Yatha Bindu Bindu Ani Bindu Saravara Shiva Srijala Apani. Shiva brought drops of water from all holy places and created the lake known as Bindu Sarovar. So in the commentary to that, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, yeah, I am showing this. Yes, here it is. Statements that prohibit one from honoring Shiva's remnants are not applicable to Bhuvaneshwar. The demigods honor the remnants of Bhuvaneshwar to cross the material ocean. Foodstuffs offered to Bhuvaneshwar should be honored with the understanding that they are transcendental. As far as the acceptance of Bhuvaneshwar's remnants is concerned, there should not be any discrimination whether it's Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra or outcast. Otherwise, one will certainly go to hell. On receiving Bhuvaneshwar's prasad, one should immediately honor it. Bhuvaneshwar's prasad is never contaminated by contact with impure living entities. One should distribute this prasad to the demigods, forefathers and brahmanas. The result one obtains by giving charity in Kurukshetra during solar or lunar eclipse is attained by distributing the remnants of Bhuvaneshwar. So all this is specified in regard to Lingaraj, Mandir, because Bhuvaneshwar there is only one Shiva, prominent Shiva deity, this is Lingaraj. There is a possibility of taking birth again after drinking nectar, but there is no rebirth for one who honors Bhuvaneshwar's prasad. So all this is mentioned about Shiva prasad, but this is specifically, in regard to Lingaraj. And therefore I said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honored this prasad. This is the reference for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honored. Obviously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu drank the water of Bindu Sarovar. The waters of Bindu Sarovar are nothing but Shiva Prasad. And the mood is that, therefore I specified, the mood is that if one honors Shiva Prasad for the sake of advancement in bhakti, that is acceptable. So I hope this clarifies your doubt.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
All right.
We have Raj Parikshit, Prabhu.
All right, I'll unmute him.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
We
you,
can hear
Prabhuji,
you.
thank you, Prabhuji, for taking this very important aspect of our sadhana, and I'm eagerly waiting for continuation of the lectures. Prabhuji, I have a specific doubt about the name, the meaning of holy name. I have heard Hare means Srimati Radharani. The word Hare comes from Hara. I have also heard Hare it denotes Hari, and from few peoples, those who are common Hindus, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very famous because they feel that this Hare is Hara, and this is combination or union of Lord Shiva, Krishna, and Ram. So, what is the proper perspective on this? What is the actual meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra from Vaishnava point of view, from Shaivite point of view, and in general?
I understood that, some people say the term Hare in the Mahamantra refers to Hari. Some people say Hare refers to Hara or Srimati Radharani. If we see from the Sanskrit grammar point of view, and I am showing on the screen the Sanskrit grammar, this is you can, in Hari, if we take masculine gender and the vocative says Hare, O Hari. This is for the masculine term Hari, for Bhagawan Vishnu. Now, if we do Hara and feminine gender, that is Radha, and then we see the vocative is the same, Hare. So, for Hari also, the vocative is Hare. For Hara, feminine deity, the vocative is Hare. For both, the vocative case is Hare. So, it can mean O Hari or it can mean O Hara, O Radha, like this. So, both meanings, have been specified by the Vyakhyakas or those who have given the commentaries on Hari Naam. So, for example, there is a Yugala Smarana Mai Vyakhya on Mahamantra. I will share my screen with you and I will show you. So, I'm sorry, I'll share with all the participants. I will share. So, Yugala Smarana Mai Vyakhya. It says, Mano Harati Krishnasya Krishnahlada Swarupini Tato Hara Shri Radha Eva Tasya Sambodhanam Hare. Mano Harati Krishnasya. She steals the mind of Krishna. Krishna Hlada Swarupini, and she is the personification of Krishna's joy. Tato Hara, therefore she is known as Hara because she steals away Krishna's mind. Harati iti Hara, she steals away Krishna's mind, therefore she is Hara. Shri Radha Eva, she is Radha only. Tasyaha Sambodhanam, and her vocative case is Hare. So this is what it is. So both these are, and I am not sure about the third argument, that the third paksha or the third side that you specified, that some Shaivite say it is a combination. I didn't understand that, and that is not from the Vyakhyas or the explanations given by the previous Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. So somebody else might have given some Vyakhya. We respect a Vyakhya which is valid. We respect an explanation which is valid from the grammatical point of view. But we accept the explanation which is not only valid from the grammatical point of view, but is also given by our previous acharyas. So that is the answer to your query. I hope that satisfies your query.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Last question we have from Adi Bhagawan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have just quoted the reference you asked for in the chat box.
All
Dr.
right.
Samrit Sindhu.
So this is
Hare Krishna.
yeah, sure. So this is you are quoting Dakshin Vibhag. You are quoting 24115.
5 ingredients.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Akarena. Shiro Vak Namri Bhutam Vadanchavat. Vishnu Purani Tadvakya. There is no indication here by any commentator that this Indra is some different Indra. So, this is in absence of any other indication, we cannot assume anything. That is what I can say.
Okay. But one thing is there that he is having Rati or Bhava, we say.
We can say that in a specific case, there can be Rati Abhas or Bhava Bhas. We could say that. So that could be said. All right.
Okay. Yeah, because Prabhuji, in the third section also, the Western section also, there is 2 mentions in 3 to 19. There it is mentioned Adhikrita Devtas, also example is given Brahma, Indra and Shiva. And just after that, 5-6 verses later, there is the description about Seva Nishtha in the Ashrita Devtas. There also same demigods again mentioned by Rupa Goswami as Indra, and Shiva is mentioned as Chandra Dhwaja. So I was confused, like why 2 same names of demigods, set of demigods are mentioned just in the dasas, but in 2 different categories. 3 to 19 it comes. I was not able to understand.
Okay, what we can do is we can definitely, because see, in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, he clearly specifies that there are 2 sets of devatas. One is who are Adhikrita, which means who are in charge of this particular world. And then there is another set of devatas who are in the spiritual world in Goloka, who are taking care of the affairs of Goloka. In that, as I said, Vishwaksen is the Ganesh of the spiritual world. So in this way, there 2 separate set of deities are already specified in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. But I'll still have a look at this particular section again. It has been some time since I visited it. I'll still have a look at it again. If there's something I'll specify in the group. Right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I heard earlier of your one class. Can I ask a question on that? Is it okay?
I think Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu is raising his hand. We'll go to him once and then we'll come back to you.
Yes, I did not see him. Yes, surely.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji.
Hi, Pranam.
I was wondering if there's any relevance to the context of how the Kumaras asked Narada Muni about the 10 offenses and how that came up. Like, what's the context in the story?
Actually, I tried to locate it in the Padma Purana. It seems that, there is some context to it. But in general, the Mahima or the glories of Hari Naam were being mentioned. And in that context, the discussion came up. That is what I faintly remember. But I still try to find it. And once again, because I remember having done a search about it in the original, edition of the Puranas, I had difficulty in finding the verses. But I do remember reading somewhere that the context was that the glories of Harinam were mentioned, and then there were some aparadhas being mentioned, and the discussion went in the direction of what are the aparadhas. And then Narad Muni is the listener, Sanat Kumar is the speaker. And that is what, that's how the discussion progresses. So in general, it was about Harinam Mahima. And there's nothing very specific, just the Mahima, the glories of Harinam, and then this topic comes up. That's all.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
All right.
Should we?
Yeah.
Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, are you you can take over back? I think Ari Bhagwan Prabhu wanted to ask follow up.
Yeah, not follow up. I wanted to ask from another class, Prabhuji. Is it okay if I ask?
Sure.
Yeah, Prabhuji, one class I heard of yours on Jiva Tattva. And it was very nicely explained about three energies of the Lord. One question, Prabhuji, I had on a point you mentioned about their existence of Vaikuntha Murti of every soul in the spiritual world, and you quoted the reference from Priti Sandarbha Anuccheda 10, Sarve Vaikuntha Murtaya, that Bhagavatam Jiva Goswami comments. So, Prabhuji, I wanted to know if there is any shloka which says the reference for every jiva after having perfection attains this Vaikuntha Murti. Any shloka is there, Prabhuji, for that?
Any shloka? The sandarbha was quoted as Praman there.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. So Jiva Goswami quoted from Bhagavatam that there are unlimited Vaikuntha Murtis present in the spiritual world, but I could not find the connection that every soul will be attaining that Vaikuntha Murti after attaining perfection, and the love is in its matured.
The sandarbha, Priti Sandarbha simply says, the philosophical question arises that when somebody goes to the spiritual world, then is a new body created for them. If a new body is created for them, then a philosophical problem will arise. Do you know, Adi Bhagwan Prabhu, what philosophical problem will arise?
Yes, Prabhu, you explained that there are no 6 vikaras in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
So there is no,
creation cannot take place in the spiritual world because anything that is created is essentially not anadi, is essentially not beginningless. And in the spiritual world, things have to be anadi and ananta, beginningless and endless. So the philosophical issue that arises is if somebody goes to the spiritual world, they have to have a body, because without a body, you cannot, without a spiritual body, you cannot attain the spiritual world. So it's not that the living entity has senses, the jiva has senses. No, the senses are belonging to a spiritual body which is given to the jiva. Now, when that body is given to the jiva, that particular is that body created or is it eternal? So the answer is that the body is eternal. If it is eternal, why is it not manifest in the spiritual world? The reason is because it is, still existing as a particle of light within the body of Bhagavan eternally. When the jiva gets liberated, Bhagavan, he says, Muktasya, Muktasya ekikaranam Bhagavata kriyate. The soul is made one with that particular body, which gets activated at that particular point of time, and then those pastimes of that particular body are set into motion. So that is what is specified. The body is eternally existing right now for the conditioned jiva. For every conditioned jiva, a potential body is existing within the body of Vishnu as a ray of light. When the jiva will attain the spiritual world, that particular body will be assigned. But it's not that, there is no indication that everybody's body is fixed. There is no indication there. But a potential body is there because unlimited forms are there in his body. So one potential body is waiting for each and every jiva as and when the jivas get liberated. So when they get liberated, they will get that body for the rasa which they have developed, accordingly a body to be. So that is what.
So in that body, Prabhuji, there is no change of the transformations of prema, like that will be fully matured prema. So some other body is given to him in Bhoma Vrindavan for that maturation of prema. Is it like that?
Only for those who attain Goloka Vrindavan, Srila Vishwanath Thakur has said at the end of Raghavartha Chandrika that they first end up going to Bhoma Vrindavan, where they develop, because you see, prema is also having many stages: prema, sneha, pranaya, mana. So in that, only the first stage is possible in the sadhaka deha. The remaining stages are possible in the siddha deha. So in order to develop the remaining stages of prema, the siddha deha, just as sugarcane juice boils and then it gives rise to sugar candy, and then so those developments take place when you take birth with Shri Krishna, when you consider him as your blood relative. So that is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. That is the indication given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur there in Raghavartha Chandrika. And after your raga is perfected, it reaches its highest point, then that is that same eternal level of prema that you carry in the spiritual world purpose. That is what it is.
So, Prabhuji, that is not the Vaikuntha Murti given in the Bham Vrindavan, right? It is some other intermediate body we should consider.
No, it is that same body, but it is gradually developing. Your body has been fixed. There is no.
Okay, it is same Vaikuntha Murti.
Obviously, the bodies which are present in Bhama Vrindavan are material or spiritual.
Spiritual.
With a touch of material nature, because they are still in the material world. So with a touch of material nature, they are spiritual bodies. And they're spiritual bodies. What is the origin of those spiritual bodies?
Okay. I think you explained that as Prakash Vigraha of the Vaikuntha Murti in the same talk. Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Clear.
Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, would you like to close it?
Thank you, Paramakarna Prabhu, for the honors. Much appreciated to you, Prabhuji. I'm going to ask all of the... If I can just find the option. I think everyone's free to unmute, actually. So let's give a big thank you to Hari Parshad Prabhu.
Thank you, Hari Parshad Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Hari Bol, Hari
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for
Hare
this
Ram.
wonderful
Parshad Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class.
Hari Bol Ranga Devi.
Hare Krishna! Hare Krishna! All right, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. All right, Paul.
Ranga Devi.
Okay, everyone. Hare Krishna. See you soon.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Pranam.
Dandavats.